Yeah, the technique that I've just described to you. So you can see here the dentist. This is a case, a patient from another dentist. Yeah, and so the other dentist he used here kind of a provisional material. It's actually like a co-built-up material which is blue. Yeah. The problem is here. You can see the fiber post has direct connection to the oral environment, which is not so good because the bacteria can travel along this fiber post, and this is not very good. You should always avoid direct contact of fiber posts to the oral environment. Yeah? So this is not a good idea to do it like this. However, so all restorations have been removed. You can see here the fiber post here, and this is not yet the final preparation. Yeah, you can see. But anyway, it has been isolated first. So now it's sandblasted to see what's remaining, and you can see it's already bleeding here. Already, I haven't done yet a preparation here. Just by sandblasting, it's bleeding, and I'm not yet finished with my preparation. So if I prepare here a little bit deeper, I'm really subgingival. So I would expect that the cementation here is not very easy. And remember, either I also need to make an impression or I need to do a scan, intraoral scanning. So it's very difficult for me to capture the margin, the information about the margin when it is subgingival. Okay? So this is not good, and this is why I decided here to do a box elevation technique. Right? So you can see here, this is how I do it. You need to really isolate this, that there is really tighten up, that you don't have any liquids or blood coming up from here. Okay? Then, next thing is I do my bonding agent. So I'm going to use adhesive universal or tetric end bond universal. You know, it's both the same product. Yeah, and there's no difference. Yeah, you click it. And then you can, we bond this, all of this for at least 20 seconds. Okay, and then we are actually using here flowable material, so flowable composite, like tetric end flow bulk fill, for example, is a good way to do it. But here, because this is a very deeply destroyed premolar, which is endodontically treated, so I want to protect this from horizontal forces. This is why I lay in here one of these fiber mesh. It's a glass fiber mesh, which is stabilizing the tooth against horizontal forces. So I place some flowable as a first layer, then I place the mesh, and then I place the composite all over it again. Okay, so after curing it looks like this. Yeah? So this fiber layer acts like a stress breaker, and it stops crack propagation. So it's really stabilizing this. Okay. So now I haven't done yet the final preparation. You can see I still have some undercuts here, which I want to block out, as I described earlier. Okay, but you can see now the situation here is subgingival. So, and bleeding, and this situation here is very good because I have a supragingival margin which I can control. First, when I take an impression, I get very good information, or if I do a scan. And secondly, when I do the cementation, it is more predictable. So this is my final preparation. You can see I have blocked out all the undercuts here from and you can see it's a rounded preparation. Everything is well defined. You can see I have also my enamel here. Everything is very clear. If I take a scan, I get very good information. So of course now you have a very good situation. It doesn't matter if you order your restoration from the lab or if you do it chairside. Yeah? So from now on I can do my conventional impression and send it to the lab, or I can do an intraoral scan and send the scan data to the lab, or I can do an intraoral scan and do the chairside processing. So it doesn't matter which way you go, you have a big advantage when you do this technique, the box elevation technique. But in this case, I did it chair side. So you can see when I take the scan, the automatic margin finder can do a very good job because of a very clearly defined margin, which is easy to detect. And I can just enter my preparation margin here all around, which is quite good. You can see this is my buckle scan. You know, you have to do like a lower arch, upper arch scan, and followed by the buckle scan. So we have the allocation of upper and lower jaw. So now we can check the contact points, which are quite good. Of course, you can always modify them if you like to do so. So we need to actually make sure that we have good proximal contact points and then the occlusion as well. So now we can actually go ahead and mill our restorations, chair side. So we have one crown and 3 inlay onlay. So for inlay onlay, I told you I'm selecting the HT ingot, because I want to match the translucency with the surrounding enamel. And for the crown, I don't want to use the HT because this might look a little bit too grayish with a thicker restoration. So I use a little bit of a reduced translucency, and this one is called LT. Okay, so these are, I can quickly mill this chair side, and yeah, we can do some processing. You can see I'm delegating this, some of the steps I'm delegating to my assistant also, because these are not my fingernails. Otherwise this looks a little bit too stupid. So I just modified, the contact points must be controlled, modified, then we do the stain and glaze. And we place these Emax CAD restorations into the crystallization furnace. So we can do crystallization, glazing, and staining in one shot at the same time. Yeah? So we don't need to do multiple firing. Only one firing is about 20 minutes, 20 to 25 minutes. Okay, now we use, in this case, we still use the hydrofluoric acid for 20 seconds, and we salinize it. And you can see we can easily isolate this. That's a very clean situation for cementation. Very easy. Yeah? You can see everything is perfect. This is already built up. Yeah, as you can see, it's more like immediate dentin sealing. We have blocked out the undercuts. We did the we brought up the box elevation, we brought up the margin. So all I need to do is use the phosphoric acid here before we do the bonding procedure. And then we can seat the restoration. So you can see this already after seating, after cementing. This is the final polishing with a diamond polishing paste, just to optimize the gloss. And you can see that's the situation. So this is these are the chair side restorations. Okay, so this is before and after. Okay, and the patient no sensitivity. Yeah, good. There are some special matrix bands to do this. That one is from Garrison, for example. Otherwise, you can always go back to the good old. Yes, some are like automatrix, you can really push it down. So there are different products where you can really nicely go very deep, because when you do box elevation, you need to go very deep down into the sulcus. Okay, regarding the translucency, one very important thing, when you are doing veneers, okay, with veneers, you are usually working with more translucent ceramics, so that the light can go through the ceramic. So the light goes into the tooth and it goes outside the tooth again, of course, right? It's a natural light interaction. And for this, you must make sure that your resin cement is also translucent. Because if you use an opaque cement, you will block the light and it will not look aesthetic. Okay? So, you must make sure that the light goes through the veneer, it goes through the cement, it goes inside the dentin, and from the dentin it will go backwards again through the cement and through the veneer. Okay? Because here we only replace enamel with the veneer. So you need to select a cement which has different level of translucency. Yeah? One of them must be highly translucent. And the most important thing is the color stability of the resin cement is one of the key important things. You need, because if your resin cement is not color stable, you have a high risk that the whole veneer, appearance of the veneer will change in the color. So the patient will be disappointed after a few weeks or a few months. All right. Good. Okay, sorry. One other thing I would like to also discuss with you is about the light curing, self-curing, and dual curing. Do you know the difference? It's a little bit confusing, you know, because I think everybody can understand light curing means you're completely depending on the light transmission through the restoration. So let's say if you have a very thin veneer, which is very translucent, there's no problem. But if you have like a crown, which is 1.5 millimeter or 2 millimeter thick, then you have a problem. You cannot only use a light curing material because you cannot bring enough light through the restoration. So in this case, you need to use either a self-curing or a dual curing resin cement, because then you have, in addition to the light cure, you also have the self-curing mode. So that gives you more security. Yeah? So, because some dentists are promoting only light curing materials, but we should only use light curing materials in areas where you can bring enough light through. Yeah? So in other words, anything else from veneers is already getting a little bit dangerous, because if you're ending up with an undercured resin cement, you're getting a problem of sensitivity and discoloration and maybe fracture. Okay, so this. So the question is now, how much can we bring in? Of course, the light transmission depends on the opacity of the restoration. Yeah. So if you have a metal, nothing will go through. Yeah? If you have zirconia, it depends. Zirconia is more opaque. Even the newer zirconia materials are more translucent, but they're not very, very translucent still. And with the Emax, like lithium disilicate material, it depends. Yeah. So you have high translucency of level of the Emax, but you also have a high opacity ingot, depending on which translucency level we are choosing. Okay, and now I found this study. So this is from the US, and they have actually measured how much of the light, of the curing light, how much energy of the light can go through different thickness of ceramic. You know? So you have the ceramic, you have the curing light, and they measure how much is left underneath. And they have done this with Emax. Sorry, they have done this with Emax, HT, and they have done it with different kind of zirconia. So that's a very interesting thing. So you can see here, the original light intensity is about 1,100 milliwatts per centimeter square, and you have the different thicknesses, 0.5 millimeter, 1 millimeter, 1.5, 2, and 2.5 for all the materials. And you can see a decrease. You can see from all above without any ceramic, and then you're really decreasing. But what you can see here is the blue one is Emax CAD. And the numbers you see is the light reduction. So you actually, if you have a restoration which is 1 millimeter thick, you already have a reduction of 60% of the light intensity here. 60%. And this is HT, high translucency, Emax. So the thicker the restoration is, the more you have a reduction of the light intensity. But zirconia is even worse. You can see this zirconia here is called QZ. So starting from 1 millimeter, you have a reduction of 81%. And if you're getting thicker and thicker, up to 2 millimeters, you can see a reduction of 96%. That's not what's left over, that's what is reduced. Okay? So with this at 2 millimeters, you have only 4% of the light is going through. And I don't know if you know Praxer here. Praxer, it's quite famous in the US. You can see if you have a restoration, a zirconia restoration, which is thicker than 1.25 millimeters, 1.25, you have zero. Nothing goes through, nothing. Okay? So you cannot rely on a light curing material in these cases. Otherwise you will end up with an undercured resin. So you literally, your cement layer is sitting in the dark because the cement layer is far from the light, because all the light is absorbed from the zirconia. So when you want to use zirconia, you definitely need to select a resin cement that is curing reliably. That means you need to have a strong self-cure mode for this. Okay? Good. So you can see now, these are the consequences when you have undercured resin cement. So, because you have a reduced flexural strength, you have more ceramic fracture, you have reduced adhesion to the tooth, you have debonding, you have higher solubility and high absorption of materials, you have degradation, discoloration, and maybe more marginal caries. And because you have more unreacted monomers, that's why you have a pulp irritation and maybe some inflammation and also sensitivity. Yeah? So it is quite severe consequences when you have undercured resin cement underneath your restoration. Okay? Good. So that's why if you want, let's say, if you're interested in self-adhesive resin cement, you must not only look on the dual cure mechanism when you have the light on, you must look on the self-cure mode of these materials. Let's put it like this. You can see here, this is the curing in the bond strength when you have the light on. So this is dual cure. It means it is with the curing light on. This has been measured. Okay? So Reliax Unicem here has very good bond strength if you have the light on, for example. Also like Martening speed, also very good with dual curing. But if you turn off the curing light, that means if you're really in the dark, okay, just looking at the self-cure action, how much of bond strength we have here, then you can see Martening speed is reduced, but still okay. But Reliax, you can see, almost nothing left. Yeah? And this is the situation underneath a zirconia restoration, because zirconia is absorbing a lot of light. So when you work with zirconia, you must make sure that you have a cement that is also curing nicely with just a self-cure mode. Okay. And that's why Martening speed is a very good material in combination with zirconium oxide materials, because it has a very strong self-cure action. Okay, so why self-adhesive resin cement? Because it's very simple, it's a very fast materials, because you don't need a bonding agent on the tooth, no bonding agent needed on the tooth, and you also don't need any primer on the restoration, because these materials, like Martening speed, they already contain MdP. So MdP bonds to the tooth, which is inside the cement, and it also bonds to zirconium oxide. This then again is just MdP, okay? It's a long molecule or chemical abbreviation. Okay, so we can directly fill this into the crown with multiplying speed. And of course, multiplying speed and all these self-adhesive materials you can only use with strong prosthetic materials, you know, like zirconia and Emax and also metal-based restorations. So again, how do we condition zirconia? What we need to do is first sandblast, as I said before. Zirconia needs to be sandblasted, and after that we need to have a chemical bond with MdP on top of this. So this combination I showed you before, sandblasting. Let's say if you have a sandblaster, let's say if your sandblasting powder, the grain size is up to 70 microns, then it's 1 bar only. So it's more like a soft sandblasting, not so aggressive, a little bit softer. And if you have a larger granules particle size, then it's 1.5 bars. If you do the sandblasting by yourself, I recommend you use like a permanent black marker, and you just paint the inside of the crown. You make it black, and then you just remove everything. So if everything is white again, and you know you are everywhere you sandblast. All right. And then, of course, as I said before, you need to apply, either you apply this primer, which is monobond, it contains MdP, or if you use a self-adhesive resin cement like multi-link speed or speed SAM, then you don't need an additional primer. Okay. So now we do a try-in with that bridge. You can see it's a zirconia bridge. We just check the fit. And after that, you can, so usually the sandblasting is already done in the lab. Yeah, usually the sandblasting is done in the lab, and then you do the try-in, and then you have a contamination. So how to get rid of the contamination is you apply Ivoclean. You just rub it in for about 20 seconds. You leave it there. And then you rinse it off with some water spray, and now you have a clean surface, right? No non-contaminated surface. You clean everything, and you can see cleaning with Ivoclean. So this is the control. This is non-contaminated surface, and then you have a contamination with saliva, and you can see the bond strength is dropping down. And the only way you bring it really back is with Ivoclean. You can see that this blue bar is zirconia, okay, which is the same like here. But what you should not do is you should not use phosphoric acid, because phosphoric acid should never be used on zirconia because you will further drop the bond strength. Okay, so the only thing for cleaning zirconia is really Ivoclean. Okay. We tried everything else with alcohol, all the stuff doesn't work. Ivoclean works very well because Ivoclean is actually, this is how Ivoclean works, it's actually a solution of zirconium oxide particles. Yeah? So we actually offer these very small particles here, and the contaminants of the zirconia, they jump onto these zirconia oxide particles, they're connected together, and then you have a very clean zirconia surface afterwards. This is how it works, and now we can directly put in the speed SAM, or multi-link speed, it's the same thing, so we don't need additional primer.